Hi, I'm Veronica Roth, author of the Divergent series, which is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. It is pretty wild that the first book in the series has been out in the world for an entire decade. To be honest, how I feel about the 10-year anniversary is a little bit old. I feel really grateful that it continues to resonate with people now. That's not something I expected, and it's a joy. So one thing that people, I'm pretty sure I've never talked about this before, so it's something that people definitely do not know about the Divergent series, is that there was almost a love triangle in Insurgent. The reason for that is that I just felt kind of lost when I was writing Insurgent, the rough draft. Like I wasn't quite sure emotionally where Triss was. And so I just tried to manufacture some drama. So I had Triss and Tobias break up, which kind of happens in Insurgent a little. And then I had this other character, I don't even remember his name, who was supposed to develop a friendship with Triss, and then she'd be torn, which would have been kind of fun. The great thing about Triss and Tobias is that they have this kind of friendship and this mutual respect for each other. And it's not that you can't have that and have a love triangle, but it feels right for them to just have a consistent romance over the course of the series. So I'm really glad that I edited that out, but I did almost have a love triangle. I don't know that I made that many big changes to the series while I was writing it, because I had the major moments mapped out pretty carefully, but then the in-between stuff I didn't even really have planned as much as I maybe should have. The change that I tried to make but couldn't manage is that I kept trying to kill Marcus. In each book, I kept wanting him to die because he's terrible. So I was really eager to get rid of him, but he just wouldn't. It didn't work emotionally, through the course of the story. It didn't have impact or meaning. It was just me trying to get rid of him. So that's not a good reason to kill off a character. But I'm glad that it turned out that way, because then I could have a more powerful ending for the character of Tobias at the end of the series, because I think what's really impactful and important for Tobias is not that he gets some kind of revenge, because something like that would not be satisfying, but that he gets to be a bigger man and walk away from his father and leave him behind him. So I think that's why Marcus had to stay alive, but I tried. So I know it will be hard for people to believe now, but in the months leading up to Allegiant's release, I really thought that I had been too obvious with my setup of the Allegiant ending, and that the whole impact and power of it would be lost because everyone would see it coming. That's obviously not what happened. So I think people were mostly surprised by the ending. So that was a bit of a misread on my part, you might say. Anytime that your readers have a really emotional reaction to something that you've done, it means that they're really connecting to your work in a powerful way. However people react to the end of the series, I still feel like I wouldn't change it, but I also feel kind of grateful that they feel the characters so much that they care what happens to them. That's a pretty special thing. So the million-dollar question is, would I change the ending to Allegiant? I think this question kind of assumes that I didn't try other endings, which I did. I thought through a few of them, even tried to kind of start writing them, and then, oh man, I just felt the wrongness of them, which is a hard thing to explain to someone who isn't a writer. When you do the wrong thing for your story, when you feel like you're lying to yourself, like you're lying to your readers, or like you're being a coward, then everything stalls there and you can't keep going. I mean, the real answer to this is no, I would never change the ending, because that was the only ending that was possible for me. And I also feel like it was a defining moment for me as a writer, that it sort of launched me down the path that I wanted to be on. So no, I wouldn't change it. What I wish I could change about the series, my answer is probably not going to be what some readers would hope. I was young when I wrote the series, and in the 10 years since then, have grown a lot and learned a lot about the world around me. And so there's some specific things in the series, like what happens to Lynn and the way that it happens, or the way that Triss reacts to her attack in the first book, or even just the handling of guns generally in the first 2 books in particular, as almost like an action movie, when gun violence is such a huge and difficult thing happening in our world. So it just feels, I don't know, it hits a lot differently now than it did when I first wrote it. I think what I would change is to go back and be more thoughtful about those things, or to change them entirely. Time doesn't run backwards, and I think it's the job of every writer to just try to see their work clearly and to grow over time. I think the dream of every author is that your work is gonna have longevity. It's not something that you can predict, and it's not something you can control. So that it's happened with Divergent is, I don't know, I think it's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for all of your support over the last 10 years. It has meant the world to me. And I guess I should close out by saying, be brave.